How's it going, Jets fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Moran. I wanted to give you guys a quick injury update before the weekend. Of course, the Jets playing on Sunday, another competitive game. The Bengals are not a bad team. They're playing bad, but any week you kind of get the idea they could just explode at any given week, and we don't want it to be this one. So the Jets are going to need some of their players to step up and maybe play through a minor injury or whatnot. There's a couple guys on the list. Some pretty impactful ones, mind you. So, we'll update you guys on those, of course. Before we dive into the injury report for today, Ryan, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Alex. Looking forward to the game Sunday. It's getting closer and closer and expecting, a packed MetLife Stadium and, Jet fans bringing the energy that's needed. And, on the injury front today, we got some good news. Obviously, last week it was tough, with the way things kind of went at the end of the week with CJ Uzomah, and he ended up obviously not going for that game. And, for him going up against his former team in this one, who he spent 7 years with, that, he's going to be more than ready to go. And, he was obviously a full participant today. Corey Davis and George Fant were the only ones that were limited. But again, I think that they're probably both, slated to play. And defensively, you had Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, and Jordan Whitehead, who were, all listed as questionable, but were full participants in today's practice. So, really, you couldn't ask for more on the injury front for the Jets right now. You're even looking at Dwayne Brown, who was, reportedly getting some work in on the practice field today. So things are really starting to come together, from that standpoint for the Jets. And, let's just hope it continues to translate to more and more wins here.
Absolutely. Now, I have a question for you. CJ Uzomah and, of course, Corey Davis are likely to go. How do you think the Jets get Uzomah incorporated into this offensive scheme? This is going up against his former team, Tyler Conklin, Jeremy Ruckert. How do you think the Jets kind of maximize Uzomah? Obviously, a very good receiving option. Tyler Conklin's probably the better blocker. But if you're Joe Flacco and you're Mike LaFleur, how are you looking at Uzomah as a guy who can impact this game?
It's a great question. I would say one thing I picked up just watching the Bengals last 2 games back, I think, the screen game has been something that they've kind of gotten beaten on a little bit. And, whether it be with, tight ends off of play action screens, those types of deals, like, I think this is the type of game where the Jets could really look to get Uzomah involved early, knowing in the first game he didn't have a catch, and he's obviously going up against his former team here. And this could really be his first, very impactful game with the Jets. So I think, obviously in 12 personnel, he's the guy with Tyler Conklin, and, they're both going to have, big roles in this game, just continuing to help in pass protection, chipping on the edge with the tackles for the Jets. And that was why, the pass blocking was much improved a week ago, and definitely expect that. But I think in the passing game, just, like I said, some play action tight end screens, trying to get him the ball in space, because the Bengals are going to play some man coverage. And, that kind of leaves, some chances for the Jets to get things going in the screen game, jet sweeps, end arounds, all that type of gadget, trick stuff underneath. And I think that's one way. And look, Uzomah, as we've kind of said throughout, how he's different from Conklin is just the size, the speed, the play strength and space after the catch, what he can do down the seam with his speed. I just think he offers a little bit more big play threat ability. And, this is the type of game where I think the Jets are going to have chances with the amount of man coverage and cover one that the Bengals play. Like, they're going to get their opportunities, I think, to really rip off some chunk plays. And, I think Uzomah is a guy that offers, so much. And let's just hope he's much more involved as compared to week one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he will be. I know he probably wants that kind of revenge game against the Bengals for not keeping him around. I know they're at tight end. Drew Sample was actually ruled out, so they're kind of thin at the position. And then, of course, the Jets have a couple more impact players that are on the fringe. George Fant, Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, and Jordan Whitehead are all questionable. Ryan, I think you said that you expect all of these guys to play. They were all full participants in practice today, which is a very good sign. So Fant was the only one that was limited. Of course, you cannot afford to lose him. So let's just let's play the negative here and say, okay, what happens if Fant is out? To say he's limited, he's not really feeling good. Who plays at left tackle in exchange for him? You might be just throwing out any body you got at that point.
That's a great question. It would probably have to be Connor McDermott, but again, I think, we're going to be, a bit lucky here. And I think Fant is going to go. And yeah, obviously that would not be great. And you'd be doing a whole lot more chipping, like I said before, with backs and tight ends. So I think, it doesn't really seem like there's been very much reported. I just think, it's one of those types of deals where he was limited throughout the week and it's on the report. But ultimately expect him to play. And let's hope that, he and Max Mitchell once again on the edges can. It wasn't perfect last week, but it was so much better compared to week one. And let's just hope that really continues here for the entire offensive line, because the Bengals, defensive front, like I said, I think their man coverage looks at times the Jets, talented skill position players can exploit. But I mean, with DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, BJ Hill, they got a really stout front four, and you can't allow these guys to take the game over.
Yep, that's absolutely right. You really can't let them the ability to take over. And this Jets offensive line has to show up week in and week out. You saw better performance last week led to Joe Flacco having a much, much better game. Probably one of the best games of the week from a quarterback. So, and then when Zach Wilson comes back, they got to be in flow. Hopefully by that time, maybe you get Dwayne Brown back. Hopefully like this offensive line is progressing instead of regressing when Zach Wilson eventually gets slotted in here, and he can seamlessly get incorporated and just really start to, hit those throws efficiently and do his thing and throw the ball downfield and, direct traffic and all the stuff he likes to do. So that's obviously a big one. Fant being healthy is essential for this team moving forward, especially the continuity on the offensive line in the trenches. But, Jordan Whitehead, what is your impression of him so far? I feel like he's underwhelmed a bit. Maybe the injury has kind of hurt him a little bit last week, kind of struggled. Do you think he's living up to his potential? Or do you think there's a lot left to untap there?
It's funny. I actually think he's been as advertised, and I actually think just what I've seen, he's been a little better actually than he's kind of been discussed as. And look, I think you knew his limitations in coverage, and what he can really do is like, a more traditional deep safety. It's a bit limited, but like in both games, I think you've seen a guy who, when he's attacking aggressively downhill in pursuit, and his pursuit angles are a little, sharp, and at times, that can give guys more space, and to, make things happen after the catch. But I mean, he's a guy when he comes downhill, like he's full force and he's very physical. He's tough. He can make, good plays in the running game, which I think we showed one play on the film review 2-3 days ago, and that jumped out a couple of times in that game. And I think, really just the physicality, the tenacity that he brings has been a lot of what I wanted and expected. And, look, he's going to miss tackles when you're so aggressive like he is, and your pursuit angles are, a bit inconsistent. That kind of comes with the territory of his playing style. But I think what, you could have asked for, and like I said, I know the PFF, grade the other day wasn't great, but I thought there were 4 or 5 good plays that he really had, when he's moving straight ahead downhill. And that's really his game.
Yeah, I mean, last week, like you said, the PFF grade was not great. The one big standout con of his game last week was that he missed 4 tackles. He had he had 5 tackles, but he missed almost half of them. So that's definitely not ideal. Maybe the injury was kind of making him a little bit more reserved. It's definitely a possibility. We want to see a little bit more efficiency from him. Obviously, he's very good getting down into the box and can stop the run effectively and make an impact there. So we hope that he can be a little bit more consistent in that regard. But I think that, like you said, he's been as advertised. We didn't expect him to be an all-pro safety, just a serviceable, strong safety that can hold it down in the middle of the field and do some stuff for you there. But, this is a guy who has untapped potential too. I don't think he's fully grown yet. I think he's probably just entering his prime. So maybe the Jets can unlock another level of him as he gets more incorporated into this defensive system. But yeah, that kind of rounds out this injury report, discussing a couple of these players, CJ Uzomah, Corey Davis, definitely both expected to go. Fant, Williams, JFM, and Whitehead all expected to play as well. Full participants from Quinnen, JFM, and Whitehead. So that's definitely a good sign, guys. We're looking good in terms of health here. Excited for Sunday against the Bengals. Should be another competitive game. At least we don't have to see that dumbass elf in the middle of the field anymore. So we got to see it last night again. And a short week of 2 dumb elves. It's just unbelievable. So very excited for this game this weekend. Should be a really fun one. If you're celebrating the holidays, have a great holiday weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Jets episode.